Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure. Today in my present video, I am going to discuss about the illustration with examples skill of micro teaching, its meaning and types. According to Harvard Crosby, a wisely chosen illustration is almost essential to fasten the truth upon the ordinary mind, and no teacher can afford to neglect this part of his preparation. Illustration and examples are powerful teaching devices. They often command and hold attention with remarkable effectiveness. They stimulate the thinking faculties. They stir up emotion and thus may reach the conscience and the heart. At times, illustration may be used to overcome prejudice. They are also an effective memory aid. Illustration as a teaching strategy stands for the use of the means and material, verbal or concrete, for helping the students to acquire correct knowledge of the presented material by making it quite clear, interesting, intelligible, and comprehensible. In this device, the teacher has to elucidate, explain, or exemplify in a verbal or concrete form or both. Many a time it happens that a teacher explains in the classroom a scientific principle or a mathematical rule or an abstract idea and observes that his students have not comprehended it. In such a situation, the teacher attempts to explain more and more the concept, but he fails in his attempt as his students do not understand the explained concept. This presents a challenge to the teacher as the concept requires more explanation for the students to understand. An unskilled teacher may deal with this challenging situation by rebuking the students for being inattentive in the classroom and asking them just to memorize the concept rule. But a skilled teacher handles this situation in a different way. He illustrates the concept with the help of examples and makes it easier for them to understand. Examples are one of the most effective tools in the hands of the teacher to make the concept simple and easier for the students to understand. The skill of illustrating with examples involves examples which are drawn from the student's own experiences. The teacher can illustrate his message with stories, analogies, historical incidents, things read or observed in life, and more. Illustrations are used at all stages of education. In this technique, the principle of proceeding from known to unknown is followed. Concrete illustrations and examples can be used to explain some abstract idea or theory. Thus, the principle of concrete to abstract is followed. Thus, the examples can be defined as the observation or situation of occurrence of a concept, and the skill of illustrating with examples can be defined as the selection and presentation of the examples relevant to the concept to be taught to the students so as to make it easier for them to understand it. Types of illustration. The use of illustration as a teaching strategy proved quite useful and effective in the teaching of all subjects of the school curriculum. In the teaching of grammar, while the teaching language, inductive and deductive method is used, providing examples for deducing the rules with the help of examples. Social sciences such as history, geography, civics, economics also have a wide field of application for both verbal and concrete illustration. Geographical facts, ideas, concepts, and principles can never be properly taught without maps, globes, graphs, pictures, and chart. The relative importance of the two types of illustration depends upon the nature of the topic, the stages of education, and the levels of student development. The illustrations are divided into two categories: verbal and non-verbal or concrete. Non-verbal: when a teacher makes use of concrete material by making the direct appeal to the senses of his students, he is said to make use of non-verbal illustration. Under non-verbal heads, the subjects include apparatus, blackboard, charts, demonstration, diagram, films, graphs, models, pictures, radios, objects, maps, sketches, experimental demonstration, and television. Non-verbal illustration are more useful at the lower stages. It may not always be possible to bring actual objects or their presentation in the class. Under such situation, educational excursions may be planned. Some concepts are used in their real forms, such as thermos, flower, plant, magnet, etc. Models of few things are used, for example, earth, moon, railway engine, airplanes, etc. Their parts can be separated and made understood. When a related thing or model is not available, its picture is used for teaching. The use of picture is easy in situations such as exhibiting the magnetic principles, traveling of light in a straight line. Solar and lunar eclipses are more useful. Maps and diagrams are very useful in teaching history and geography, science, etc. The main points of the lesson can be analyzed with their help. A teacher can draw a diagram on blackboard and they can be used in analysis. Experimental demonstration in teaching of science, natural study, and geography is very useful to make them clear and effective. It is used for making rule or principle clearly real process. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to my video to motivate me, share it with others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Verbal. Verbal illustration must remain the most important means of arousing appropriate mental imagery for learning. When a teacher makes use of a word picture, put examples for comparison, studies analogies, uses metaphors, explain the meaning of a thing, object, or phenomena by giving equivalent terms for associating with the previous knowledge of the student, he is said to make use of verbal illustration. A higher level of intelligence is required to understand verbal illustration such as analogies and similes. Therefore, these should be used at higher stages. There are two methods of using verbal illustrations: inductive method and deductive method. Objectives of illustration. Illustrations serve three purposes: explaining the truth, proving the truth, and applying the truth. The teachers use illustration in teaching for a number of reasons: to make the lesson interesting, to link unknown knowledge to known, to simplify and familiarize with the complex and unfamiliar knowledge, to use various senses of the students, to establish rapport, to stir the emotions, to assist the memory, and to keep the students engaged. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.